Congressman Swalwell, good to see you. Thank you for coming on. So,
of course, good evening, Don.
So Mueller's team also told Trump's attorneys that they want more information about the firings of James Comey and Michael Flynn, as well as the president's efforts to get Attorney General Jeff Sessions to resign. As I just asked that in the last question, knowing what you know from the House Intelligence Committee's investigation, do you think the president's testimony would fill in some of the holes in your committee's findings?
Yeah, and Don, first let me just say, CNN covered earlier tonight the San Bruno shooting. That's just across from my district, and I want to thank the first responders and praying for the victims there. But to your question, Don, the president would best serve the country by just sitting down and coming clean with Bob Mueller. Innocent people cooperate. Guilty people screw around, they try and cover up, they try and bury the evidence, and he should actually just follow his own advice, which was when he said back in September of 2016, only the mob takes the Fifth Amendment. Prove to America, Mr. President, that you are not running the White House like a mobster, and just cooperate with Bob Mueller. And so we can all move on and make sure that the president, acted accordingly in what he did with James Comey, what he's tried to do with Bob Mueller, and the pressure he keeps putting every day on his Attorney General.
So, Representative, we're learning late today that the Deputy AG has just picked Prosecutor Ed O'Callaghan to help oversee the Russia investigation at the Justice Department. Does his appointment indicate anything about the scope of Mueller's investigation to you?
It shows me, Don, that this team is moving expeditiously, that they are doing all they can, not under a timetable, but understanding that there is a public sentiment out there to get answers on the conduct that is in question. The best thing we can do, though, is to allow them to just follow the evidence. Congress could pass, because there's bipartisan legislation out there right now, legislation that would cement Bob Mueller's role and prevent him from being fired without cause. I think that sort of certainty would allow the prosecutors and the agents to do all they need to do to tell the American people whether there was a conspiracy to work with the Russians, whether money laundering occurred with the Trump organization, and whether the president acted with corrupt intent and a consciousness of guilt when he tried to fire the investigators.
Does anyone ever ask when you guys were, if all of these people, if there's nothing happening, nothing's going on, and I'm going to get to Vander Swan because I want to talk about that because he's the first person to be sentenced, but if nothing's going, why are so many people lying to the FBI and to Mueller?
Consciousness of guilt, Don. I saw as a former prosecutor, and every juror in America is told that if a witness makes a false statement to the police in an investigation, that you can conclude that they did that because they were aware of their own guilty conduct. Again, logic follows that the innocent people cooperate. Guilty people try and cover it up or disguise their conduct.
All right, so with that said, let's talk about Alex Vander Swan, the first person sentenced in this Russia investigation. He worked with Paul Manafort and Rick Gates. He admitted to lying, covering up conversations with Gates, failing to turn over emails to Mueller's team back in February. Are we expected to learn more about the contents of those emails, you think?
There's a lot that we don't know, but what we do know is how doggedly the Mueller team is tracking down a lot of these BS stories, quite frankly. We saw this with George Papadopoulos, right, Don? I think that's the canary in the coal mine here, which was he lied in January 2017 to the FBI. They interviewed him again in February. He lied. And then in July, they pulled him off a plane. It looks like from the indictment that they had subpoenaed Facebook and Skype logs, confronted him with that story. He came around, and now he's a cooperating witness. So as long as they're able to follow the evidence, subpoena bank records, communication records, and then go back at these witnesses who, as you just mentioned, are so willing to lie through their teeth to protect the president, I think that's the only way we can get to the truth. That's actually what we did not do on the House Intelligence Committee investigation. We just took people at their word, and the American people right now have an incomplete, inaccurate version of what happened. So I hope the Mueller team is able to pursue and follow all the evidence.
We're just seeing the court documents which offer the first direct acknowledgement that Mueller was specifically looking into allegations that former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort committed a crime by colluding with the Russian government officials in the 2016 election. What other insights into the investigation do they show, you think, does this show?
Yeah, Don, it shows that there was a willingness and an eagerness on the Trump campaign's part to receive information from and work with the Russians. And Don, again, whether it's collusion or not, that's Bob Mueller's job. But I can just tell you, the evidence we have already seen publicly is that The Russians sought to offer the Trump team information on Hillary Clinton. The Trump team did everything they could to receive it. Once it was disseminated to the public, they really turned it up and amplified the proceeds of the hacking. And the candidate even invited the Russians to conduct further hacking. So to me, I don't know what you call it when you invite it, you receive it, you amplify it, you encourage it, and then you start to pay back the Russians through your actions once you take office. But to me, it's not American, certainly doesn't look right.